not as clear as they used to be. We'll just put it that.
Okay,
That's why we always have our name badges.
that's smart, yeah.
And who are you?
We're beating it. Oh, yeah. That's why we.
She has to check her name tag. That's smart. Let me see.
That's why I wear mine upside down.
Oh, okay.
There.
Well, it helps to not be quite as cold to have more doors closed.
Yeah,
That one needs.
Yeah.
yeah, and I just closed this one.
Can you make me a co-host and I can
Yeah,
accept it and once?
I'll figure that out. Oh,
Oh,
Right there and without.
yeah, make co-host. Confirm. Yay, okay.
Can you talk that?
There you go.
wow. That's quite a prayer.
So this morning, May 3rd.
I think you said I went, oh no.
Miss Spring May is in charge. May 3rd, we have our Deacon Miguel Briones with us, talking about spirituality in America.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So May, do you consider this is a good month? May? Welcome month to celebrate.
I was born in June, though, much to my knowledge.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was named after her sister.
Okay.
There were no choices.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, again. Thank you for being here. I happy to be with you today. I want to start and share with this prayer. This prayer I got from a meeting last Friday. You know, Friday I was part of the march in downtown. And that was shared with one of the leaders, religious leaders. By the way, there was a good presence in the beginning to the 11 o'clock, or noon, an hour before we start the march. It was a present on many carriers on the state. So it was a representation of different denominations. And this year, for the first time, we got a good number of the Episcopal Church. So, and a big flag, by the way, too. So, and I get this prayer. Let's see. I would like to start with this one. They say,
You, Molly.
you got it. And you use Sundays when they sharing the screen in the altar. You always leave the mark in the, oh my gosh. Okay. So the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
May God bless you with discomfort and easy answers of true and superficial relationship that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger and injustice, oppression, and explosion of the people, so you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer pain, rejection, hunger, and rest, so that for you may reach out to the hand to comfort them and turn their pain to joy. And may God bless you with enough focus to believe that you can make a difference in the world, so that you can do what others can be done to bring justice and kindness to all our children and the poor. Amen.
Amen.
I think that was beautiful prayer.
That's great. Could you leave it up there for 1 second? Because I saw Jamie take a picture and I'm like, oh, that was a good idea.
Thank you.
You know, Kathy.
Yeah, I can share pass it to Joyce and then you can share someday.
Joyce can just
Um,
text Joyce, she'll send it to you.
Yeah, did you see what I mean? This was in many ways, in many different times, this prayer calls this prayer. So I was very interested and concerned to explore how's the spirituality in America during this time. Because you're gonna see forward that many people think that living a religious way and spirituality is getting the same. And there's a little quite difference. So it's very probably very helping us to make sure that how we're living our spirituality. Because we really need it in this time in our lives. We think that if we are in the church, we did enough. And now, and like we heard today, the good news that we get here in church is about to live in outdoor and share this good news. But many times we confess. And the same thing, how we practice our spirituality. There's something that things was there now from the church. It's not. It's just a start. So I would say that this is a pretty simple. What does that mean? The spirituality. This is a feeling, acknowledgement, and experience that we all connected to the something great than ourselves. A religion is how we respond to thought, reality. Religion is how humans make an attempt to contextualize their spiritual experience and make sense of it. So as you see, there's a little bit different. I would say, in other words, that religion is the practice that we do as a community in a place, in church. But spirituality is something internal that we carry with us. Yeah, and that's good to define because it's going to help us to show the things that we have to do out to the temple, out to the communities, out to the churches. So it's a little bit different. Yeah. So this is what my interesting to talking about this because we misunderstood what is the spirituality or religion person. Yeah. All there need to be together because I can share, when we listen to the gospel or good news. Yes, helping us to meet God. And when we meet God, it's helping us to understand Him. What is Jesus? And we hear today, by the way, in the gospel, it's that we know Jesus, we know the Father. So how can we know that how we live spirituality? Because through the spirituality, is we can understand who is God and what's God's calling us to do or live. So and Jesus came to showing us the steps, clearly, and a way that we practice it more, especially in the love.
Can I take pictures?
Sure, that's pretty. No, okay, this is not bad, but anyway, and so you see what I mean. Where I'm going, I'm trying to go with you. Get it?
No, it's okay.
I know that
I can't find the camera. I never use this. The young person. Oh my gosh. Did you guys know that? The guy's my age. Did you guys? If you turn it off and then real quick, turn it back on again. Swipe to the right on your lock screen.
Oh, so
Okay, thank you.
what's the difference between being spiritual and being religious? The core difference between religious and spiritual is that religious present use a set of belief, dogmas, and holy men as intermediaries between you and the spirit. However, you can name it what the spirituality promotes your individual autonomy and defining and connecting the spiritual as it fits for your heart and your mind. So, again, religious giving us the way to understand, the dogmas of the lines or the rules of the two. And but the spirituality now is calling us to promote individually, collectively, like we do in community, and show, how's our heart acting, how we feel this, and how our mind is, and also processes understand it. So, what those guys say about spirituality, as he said that God is a spirit, and a spiritual being, and those who worship him must worship him in the spirit and in truth. Well, reality. The word spiritual is used all the time in the Bible. From the John 4, we can see that God is a spiritual being, and learning to be spiritual is an important part of our relationship with him. Again, he marked the difference, when to worship him, but what he's meant to carry these through our lives. He practices this again. And how we start our relationship with God. With this is something we're missing sometimes. That, for example, I heard and part of the good news today in the sermon that he calls, to how can we love each another if we don't have any people or lines to help us to process this? What does this mean? Yes, because we can act things with an empty heart. It doesn't mean much, because we try to compare somebody else and not yourself. And how we understand the God, God is his people. When people try to see God, and image that they teaching us in the old church, right? The old man of the purity that God looks like us. We're missing that. No, God is in the spirit, and this is why God is with us in our hearts. And when we connected with us, our spirituality start acting. This is very, very important. I know in the church, I would say this, Mexico teaching, it is God, and God, if you don't behave good, you're gonna be punished. And better because God is watching you there.
Oh, yeah.
In externals, and then calls, is internal. In this past class of the confirmation class, I said, my first question is, do you believe in God? This is a risky question, right? But very helpful because kids understand that, okay, what we have been learning is something different that we're coming in with here. But we're learning and establishing a relationship with something that we can see and we can understand through feeling. And this is really different. So I said a risky question for many people to say, I'm going to go with this now because my parents told me something totally different. And but this is what Jesus told me. I'm the truth. The truth is not this physical, it's this people, to helping us to stretch our hearts, our feelings, to helping us to acting, and loving each another. So it's very interesting. I was in a dilemma because like here we start looking at numbers to understand how the American people is related. I'll even show one of this. Because numbers start changing, who believe, how's the believable people? Who feel there's people who believe are religious people. Anyway, spiritual experience and practices. Some kinds of spiritual experience seems to be relatively common. For example, 46% of the US adults say that at least one of the twice a month they feel a deep sense of wonder about the universe. A similar share, 44%, say they feel this sense of spiritual peace and well-being than often. Okay, so it seems like we have a conflict, that who we are, physical as a humans, and what is spirituality. So adults, we start thinking about that, especially in this time that we are, we opened the window of the universe from last year, or last century, and know the universe is making us feel like the house nothing, like in reality, and when we try to understand God, we discuss it in the universe. Yes, we got just a small piece on the earth and understand who is really bad in our lives. So this is why people start without always having maybe conflict, but to changing his mind about what is the needs of these people when you be a religious person and how do you practice. So 40% of Americans say they feel a deep sense of spiritual peace and well-being, and then the last one on present months. So a deep sense of wonder about the universe. Again, why the universe? Because I can say, when we open that window to the out of this air, the planet, our sense changes that who we are, who we are. And the deep sense of the spiritual peace as a well being is only 4%. Why? Because we still like tied with material things in the world. We still believe in things that we see. We don't understand that thing we don't see is what we can engage, what's in God. Because God, we can still looking forward to something physical. But we have to start to understand that the God is spiritual with this inside of us. And then, again, like we heard today, to this love with God, we can start seeing that not only in one physical symbol, African system God, in everyone of us, from individual to the entire world. So, and this is why we the sense of connection with the humanity. This is really important because we're missing this connection. We're not connected in a spiritual way. And we need to reach this understand how can we understand God's presence is present in everyone. And including me, right? So the presence of something from beyond is his word, so 24%. So we see all the difference. We had another statistics that show not only old man, but age. And we can see the age in this time of how the new generations, his mind is totally different. The way how perceive the spirituality. One of the good things that happened Friday, this March, is a present and a unit of different religious leaders connecting with the one purpose. And at the center, still Christ. This is wonderful. And not only to see the presence of the diversity, not only in race, but also in age. A lot of young people working with that with one purpose. I think it is hard, and for me, there was a good example to see how these people move to us in our lives and connecting us with one purpose. So we have
How many
people.
people were there, John?
I got with the sense when we start marching, when we get out in the Union Park, we saw the chapter of helicopters and stuff to us. And we start walking, we start maybe like a mile long. Especially because the mayor of Chicago was leading the march. And this is where I understand it's where they are. And actually, the last day they changed the road. It's going to be only 2 miles, so they changed an extra mile from around and make it longer. Because there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people. Yes, but again, what I see is the Holy Spirit was moving the spirit besides the religions. Do you see what I mean? And they're giving a good example of how we American living the spirituality. I don't know if everybody understands that's what that's being. But it was for me a good example. Everybody walking together, and it was pretty much peaceful marching with one purpose. Everyone supporting immigrants, supporting workers, and unions, and supporting the salaries, supporting the needs in the country. That's what happened is affecting to everyone. But again, what was the spirit for all these people march? Support each other. And I can see how the God moved us, when we connect them to the spirituality. So how the American practices spirituality. This is one example, but another one is to measure some common spiritual practices. We could survey respondents how often they pursue high activities, looking inward or connecting to self, meditating, doing yoga, exercising, and spending time in nature. So this is a wonderful way because again, this for me talking about an individual way, where we mentioned it in the beginning. So this is how we practice it, how we feel or study spirituality. So whatever these activities are spiritual depends, of course, one's definition on spirituality. As clearly not, many Americans explain the meaning of the spiritual by talking about various kinds of connections, just with God or with something bigger than themselves, with their innermost selves, with loved ones who have died, or with humanity.
I have to tell you something really funny.
Sure.
I was at Rosary College, a Catholic college, and one of the students told me that she was very much involved with Eastern religions. And I said, oh, well, so am I. She said, what? She said, yeah, I'm Roman Catholic, and you know, Jesus Christ, he lived in an Eastern country. They didn't get it. They didn't get it. Anyway.
Yeah, again, what I heard last Friday, different people was talking. I hear all right, you know. I don't feel much different when we're talking about Christ. We're talking about how the love to cause, you know, to support some other. I mean, the message is pretty much the same. It's the same. Absolutely. And this is a wonderful thing, you know, because for many years we're still different because he looks like and different race or different, just be with different religions. Oh my gosh, how difficult it is to establish a conversation or just to make more about them with other people. Yes, and I think with yours and I, we experienced in a group that we met last Thursday, the Latino theology group that we tried to get different religious leaders from different denominations, Christian, possibly Christian, but as a Christians. We still saw cultures, you know, to try to get and meet with other people because they're not probably the thing we are made about to talking about relations, the difference of everyone trying to still look like protective of myself, you know, and no, but things that they start opening and they were talking about sharing theology, and that's Thursday was very good example. That when we listen to theology, it's pretty much it's something in common when listening about Christ, you know, and how to cause. So things like this is we still feel how different still, you know, and they don't like to work together. So how many Americans gather in spiritual communities? Americans are more like the rapport gathering in religious communities than meeting in spiritual groups. The 49% of youth adults say that they are involved in religious community, such as church or religious congregations. The while 40% say they are involved in a spiritual community, church, and a group that helps. Well, I think it's good, you know. I would like to we have to a lot of time. I didn't want to talk about much about the numbers to understand how is the spirituality moved in USA. I think this can be another conversation to understand them. But my intention in here is to I got these questions, but I would like to hear for everyone, you know, like how do you define spirituality? I say something already, but how do you perceive and understand? I was talking with a colleague this morning about it, and he gave me his answer, you know, interesting. This is what we like to hear when able to share. So if anyone, Edna, you would like to start with sharing and we can move it around.
I think breathing is practicing spirituality.
So
And a lot of us aren't very good at breathing.
Yeah.
What was that?
A lot of us aren't very good at breathing. You know, we tense up, we don't breathe. Wow.
We saw in the video, probably you saw him already here, show the your groups, talking about the breath, that they say, we don't know that every time we breathe, when we breathe, if you breathe like this way, did you try to do that? No. How do you feel? This is the first thing. Second thing is that, do you hear what is the sound that we do when we breathe that way? Do you know, we just do you hear? What do we say? No.
It's relaxing.
But this is the sound of because we say something and we don't perceive that. Like that. So you say, yeah, when you try to speak with it, you know, you can hear the sounds. And also you can, if you pay attention, how do you make it feel this sound? But if they try to explain is every time that we pronounce the God's name, because you know in the Testament like God's calling Jehovah or Yahweh, we see how close we are with that. And why just a simple breath happens you say calm. You control because the first thing that we lost control of things are really less out of control. And this is what we say when somebody is say, come on, to breathe. That's right. Take breath. And how much happiness, you know? Some people say, well, the science way is because we provide oxygen to the brain, like happiness to the person who understand them. But in the spiritual way, we perceive it as the best person. Every time we breathe. This is how close God is in our lives. You know? So interesting, you know, that's the way what you say, George, it's true. It's always say the breath is this spiritual exercising. But even though we do many types of that, and this is keeping us survival alive, you know.
Well, and you know, you said an earlier slide said something about you know, different practices of spirituality and mentioned yoga, and yoga means breath. And it's that breath is really important.
It's part of our life, you know.
Yeah.
But part of the spiritual life is how we manage this breath. And what is the purpose? And so we as persons, you know, understand how God's present in our lives. Individually. Downstairs. So what about you?
Define spirituality, I would say, coming from my heart, innermost heart, and what I do when I leave the religious structure. Not from all my living my life. That would be inspiring.
Yes. And
I guess to me, it's the connection I have with God. Jesus, over the disciples, and there are many of the who can help us, you know. He gives me the I guess inner strength to try to do what I want to do. Or fine tune what I want to do. Or ask for forgiveness.
Now, I think, reflection.
you can find this before we have it. Person. Sure.
Well, I just think about how so many people say I'm spiritual but not religious. And that just is a statement that is well, it's frustrating because it doesn't make any sense, right? So I think spirituality then becomes individual, religious is corporate, but I think spirituality is something that is relational. And it's many things. But I do like that because, and certainly our Jewish canon identifies that as the first thing because God breathes life into the earth creature. And that is what gives the life, right? And it's the breath that goes in. And so it's about relationship with God. And so I find that it's because it becomes like this individual performative kind of thing that I just kind of like hate that. So and religion and spirituality they're meshed. Then we get things like faith in there and how does that work? And it's all tied together. So it's hard to just separate out this one piece and say, okay, this is what this is. It's part of the morning.
I don't need to jump there.
Come in.
I think there is a way that religion and spirituality are intermeshed, but they're not necessarily the same thing. There is religion that squelches spirituality, and there is religion that affirms spirituality. And part of the reason I'm here now today is because this congregation, this community, affirms my sense of spirit and the one I came from with them. So I don't think that they're necessarily, they should be, and that would be the intention. But if you're finding a community where the religion crushes the spirit, it's not helpful.
Yeah.
You jump a little bit, Mike, when I say something personal, it's good. Yeah.
Before hearing what you and George have to say, I thought of spirituality more like you were describing as something like more wishy-washy. It was like a term that's used. I think about when people like to choose what they believe, so or like pleases them most, or like make their own sort of god out of something, and just like I can live my life the way I want and do exactly what I would like with regards to anything else. I think true healthy spirituality is all about Christ, all about God, and just you were saying, like seeing Him in everybody, and seeking Him in all parts of it. Okay, so.
All right, so I was raised Catholic by nuns, so I can't ever remember not thinking about spirituality. I mean, when because I was 5.5 when I went to my first kindergarten and there were nuns teaching it. So it's really hard. I can't imagine not having spirituality or a spiritual part of my life. I can't. I simply can't conceive of that. Sorry, that's nothing to do.
Yeah, good question. I mean, in Mexico, in Puebla, it's in convent.
Yeah.
I really love it. Because every time I get in there, you can feel so physical, like fresh. And I would say this: how the non-spiritual, how they live their spirituality with them. Of course, with the religion, but the environment that they create, is something that really joins, and we don't feel outside. Like in here, when people say they come to the church, they feel so physical, especially no Sundays. But it's knowing that how quiet and how to feel the connection, that I think is on the church.
So it's probably been 35 or 40 years since a very good friend of mine said, Joyce doesn't have a spiritual bone in her body. And
Was that David who said that?
there was Adrian.
Adrian.
And that troubled me. But I think that it was because what she was really talking about is that performative spirituality that you talked about, George. I hope that's what she was talking about. You know, to me, I see spirituality being connected with God, with others, an interconnectedness and an interdependence.
So we're talking about the next question. How can you practice your spirituality from you understand that? And beside Brendan.
Well, when you are breathing, to be grateful that the air is here, that we are in this created world where we're able to live. I am gratitude is always there. But then, of course, you just have your daily life to do your best with.
I love that your slide said one of those who practices in nature. Because that's
Oh, yeah.
a big one for me.
Me too.
I need to be by trees and birds and robins and bunnies. I love walking up the avenue on forest
I was
preserve.
just gonna say.
I need that, and I feel the wonder of the universe when everybody needs it. Everybody needs to do it. There's a term that I read years ago and shared it with a fellow educator recently, and she looked it up, and it's still a term. Nature deficit disorder for children right now.
Really?
Yeah, that it is affecting their well-being, it's affecting their education because they're not in nature, whether it's because parents don't let them play outside or they're too attached to their screens. I'm just very grateful that I do it. And yeah, that's how I practice. And I believe that's one of the biggest ways I practice my spirituality.
But when I saw something that said like 44% of people feel a sense of spirituality, I thought, well, the rest of them are probably not outside.
Yeah, just in my backyard. Just let me go in my backyard.
I know, I know when it starts to get a little warmer and you feel like, oh, I can sit outside for a while. That's in my backyard. That's great.
Well, you're really making me feel good because I dragged my grandchildren to the Northern Arena when they were little. I would just drag them. What are we gonna do? Well, we're just gonna walk and path, then we're gonna come right back to the car and then we're gonna go get ice cream or something. But I'm really glad I did that now.
Many years ago, just
For me, it's probably one of the easiest parts of my life. I don't limit the things I do spiritually or religiously just to church. For me, 7 days a week. Of course, restoring things that people throw away, and now I give it away for free. Why, and I have some real great neighbors. But we traveled to Episcopal Church had 4-day weekend all over the United States. Then we went to St. Louis. We sent to North Carolina, Indianapolis, and we go down there and we walk in, we see other people from St. Mark's. When we went to St. Louis, I wasn't told, I was told, you have the biggest land. You're driving. And with people a lot of times, then we also Sue and I very active in Curcio. And it was a tremendous experience because that's so close with your whole life. And then to come back to St. Mark's, holy smoke. A year later, all 12 members of the vestry had gone on Curcio. And it was always a round table. Wasn't squares or tables like that.
Oh, we have time.
We have 5 more minutes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes, thank you. Well, I'm
Thank you for
glad
coming.
to hear the good examples. Because when I hear if you start realizing the way that you perceive now the spirituality, and we can understand this really the connection with God. And to that, I will try to give an example. Many years ago in Mexico, I went to with a friend's trip, and a friend invited us to his father's house. It was really nice people, but we live in a little far away, not too far away, but a little insulated to the other people, and in a small village that they living in the mountain. It was not too far from Mexico City, talking about 2 hours, but how different is life, you know? When you grow up in the city, you miss and perceive the natural things. So we went to spend a weekend with the family. It's that house, there was no electricity, there was no water, there was no cars and bathroom there. So but it was beautiful to experience that, you know. We live in the we spend the night in the mat on the floor, and I say everything to run into the forest to try to do what you need to do, you know, on yourself. But one of the wonderful things was one of the mornings I walking by myself and finding this path. This path is you can hear the silence. I didn't know you can hear the silence. And start listening natural. Wind, birds, light, whatnot, and beauty all together. So in this moment, I just enjoyed, and I didn't know what I was doing, you know, but I was relaxing. I never get the experience before. Of course, now I related that how many times we miss the connection with the God's creation.
I think we're being told we have to leave.
Yeah, you end Zoom, you have no one online anyhow.
Okay,
No.
so you just want us to end?
I just want you to end Zoom, not your meeting,
Right.
because we have to get all the other stuff set up.
We are done. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, thank you. So,